Hello everyone, this is a video on how to complete the biological components of blood note page. That is an assignment for this week. If you're in period 1, it's going to be the second assignment for this week. If you're in periods 2, 3, or 4, this was our first assignment for the week. So in classwork, you're going to want to go down to the week 13, December 7th through 11th. And then you will see this note page right here. It's labeled biological components of blood note page. What you're going to want to do is click on it here, and that will bring you to a copy of our note page. What I'm going to do is I am going to show you the notes and the note page side by side and go over the information that we went through in class. Okay, so we have our note page here, and we have our slides and the notes over here. So this week we talked about the biological components of blood. And the first one that we talked about was the plasma. And the plasma is the fluid component of the blood. If you take out all the red blood cells and white blood cells and platelets, your blood is actually a yellow in color. So it looks like this. The plasma is made up of 95% water and dissolved proteins and nutrients. What dissolved means is that they're mixed in with the water component of the blood in the plasma. So that's how they're transported. And the function of the plasma is to provide the liquid mobility to allow transport of cells, electrolytes, nutrients, hormones, and waste products. So basically, the plasma allows the blood to be in a liquid state because it's made up of mostly water. And this liquid ability helps it to move through the body easily. And if we go into our note page here, we can see that I have filled that in there with the correct words. So number 1 is plasma, 95% proteins, nutrients, and liquid mobility will go in that top portion of your note page. I recommend to pause the video, get that down, and then continue the video. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Red blood cells, also known as erythrocytes, that's the medical and technical term for a red blood cell. These are a type of cell that are actually made in the bone marrow, which is the innermost part of your bone, and they're found in the blood. And so the composition of red blood cells, these cells are flexible. They are oval in shape. They are biconcave, so they have this donut shape look to them. Or you might think that they look like a snow tube or water tube. And they most importantly contain the protein hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is important because it has on it some iron molecules, which are what the oxygen binds to. So the hemoglobin binds to the oxygen molecules and then is going to be able to be transported because of that. The function of the red blood cell is to transport oxygen to the cells. The cells need oxygen in order to create energy via cellular respiration. And then the result of that chemical reaction of creating energy actually produces carbon dioxide, which is a poisonous gas. So then the blood also needs to carry that carbon dioxide away from the cells. And so on our note sheet here, we have red blood cells. They're flexible, biconcave, and they contain the protein hemoglobin, transport oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Next, we're going to move to the white blood cells, also known as leukocytes. These are the immune system cells of the body that are present in the blood. These cells are also produced in the bone marrow, and your bones have veins and arteries that go into the innermost part of the bones, and that's how the red and white blood cells are then transferred from being made in the bone to the blood. Blood cells, they have a nucleus. They have an outer buffer coat, which protects them from being infected. They are 3 times as big as the red blood cells, and they can independently move. The function of the white blood cell is to protect the body from infection or disease by locating, binding, and ingesting to foreign material. So your white blood cells can recognize anything that is not one of your own body cells, and once it does, it starts a immune response that's going to not only activate other white blood cells, but it's going to start to try to chase that bacteria or virus or fungal particle that should not be in your body. Okay. So let me go back to the note page. So on our note page, we have white blood cells, we have nucleus, outer buffer coat, move independently, and then we have protect the body. Okay. So platelets are our last part of the blood that we're going to talk about. These are small cells that circulate the blood and have the ability to bind together. So platelets are these small colorless disc-shaped fragments. So they kind of look like plates. That's how they got their name. They do not have a nucleus, and this is what they look like when they are not activated, just flowing through the blood. And here's what they look like when they're activated. They puff up and they protrude these spikes that they will use to bind to other platelet cells. So the function of platelets is to recognize damaged blood vessels and bind together to initiate blood clotting. If you get an injury if you get a cut on the surface of your body or internally, you need your blood clots to stop the bleeding and then to start the healing process. We see blood clots and platelets mostly on the surface of our skin through scabs. And here's a little representation of them at work. So moving down, platelets without a nucleus and blood clotting. Okay, so that ends the note portion of this assignment. What you're going to want to do now is go ahead and answer the follow-up questions. Do all organisms have blood? What is the function of the blood? And how do the parts of the blood allow the blood to perform its function? So for questions 2 and 3, we have a lot of the functions right here. You can choose one or more than one of the functions and tell me what part is involved. So if you think that the function of the blood is to transport oxygen throughout the body, I would agree with you. But what parts allow that function of the blood to happen? You would want to talk in question 3 about how the plasma gives the blood that liquid mobility to transfer things throughout the body, and how the red blood cells are the part of the blood that is actually binding and transporting oxygen. So those are the questions there. Once you complete this assignment, you can hit turn in, which would be right next to share up here at the top. All right. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the blood, and I will see you in class.